What's going on, everyone? Trust the Buzz here. If you're new to the channel, I make daily Charlotte Hornets content. So if that interests you, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. If you cannot tell by the thumbnail title of this video, in today's video, we're going to be talking about the problem with James Bouknight. So a lot of people may know James Bouknight. If you're not a Charlotte Hornets fan, you may know James Bouknight because you know he got into it with a coach. And then I believe that same week he got kicked out of a UConn game and then ended up just sitting in the student section, basically doing some real immature stuff. But if you're a Charlotte Hornets fan, I'm not saying none of us, I highly doubt, are defending what James Bouknight was doing, but we kind of understood where the frustration came from, and I'm going to give a couple of reasons why, just because of the fact that I was recently just watching some NBA content on YouTube, and somebody said that, hey, and this is the thing, the person that said this is a very knowledgeable person. They watch a lot of basketball. They critique a lot of basketball. However, I don't expect them to, if your job is to cover basketball, I don't expect you to know the ins and outs of every single team. So I definitely don't expect you to, kind of know how valuable or how good James Bouknight can be, especially for a team like the Charlotte Hornets, because the Charlotte Hornets aren't giving people reasons to watch their games and to dissect their games and kind of understand the team. So I'm not saying this in a negative way. I'm more so saying that he's not the only person that thinks this way. So what I'm saying is a lot of people think James Bouknight is just a troublemaker and a shot chucker, and he can turn it around. However, his rookie season was basically his fault. And as Charlotte Hornets fans, we know that that's not the case. So basically, I just want to talk about that today. So let's go ahead and do it. All right, so James Bouknight, like I said, he's known as a shot chucker. When the Charlotte Hornets drafted him, we know that he was a ball handler, not necessarily like a legit point guard. He played point guard a little bit in college, but we knew that he wasn't like a traditional point guard. He more was a scoring threat, basically like a Terry Rozier. So a lot of people, including me, thought James Bouknight was going to be molded to be the Terry Rozier replacement and not replace Terry Rozier because Terry Rozier is not good. However, Terry Rozier had a really great season last season, and I guess a lot of people, including myself, thought, hey, they're going to trade Terry Rozier just because he has so much value, and this guy, James Bouknight, who plays a lot like him, is just going to eventually take his spot. That didn't happen. So instead, as we look through the game log here for James Bouknight, he barely played. And when he did play, he was nice, but there was some times where he did shot chuck. So you go through here. So mind you, you're the 11th pick in the NBA draft. Your 11th pick in the NBA draft to a team that could use some depth, especially at that position, especially as someone that can start an offense. So, and by start offense, I mean like somebody who can create their own shot and just get it going. So he plays 1 minute, then a minute basically here, and then basically he stays under 5 minutes all the way up until injuries and COVID started hitting the team. So then he plays 22 minutes here against the Philadelphia 76ers. I think that was the game with the putback. He was 4 for 8. Not bad. Philadelphia 76ers always dominate the Hornets because Joel Embiid always goes crazy against the Hornets because we don't have a center. And then he plays back-to-back against Philly, and then he plays 25 minutes here. So I know we all remember this game where he just went absolutely nuclear against the Sacramento Kings, and we still almost lost that game if it wasn't for some De'Aaron Fox mixed free throws. And then he goes until the next game against Dallas. He basically shot 30% from the field, which isn't good. His three-point percentage is usually good, but however, his shot from the field is not. That's because he takes a lot of difficult shots, and he does end up shot chucking. So then he goes here, 12 minutes, 1 for 5, 10 minutes, 1 for 3, and I guarantee you, I think I clicked on some of these, a blowout here. So he was just throwing up shots. Let's check the Utah game. I think this one's a lot closer. So he was just coming in for minutes. I think injuries will still hurt the team. And then you go to this game. I think this game was a blowout. Yeah, another blowout. So of course he's going to be chucking up shots there because why not? And then you get into these games later in the season where it's just that you see that he can be consistent. It's just, I think for him, he was just upset that he wasn't getting the play time. This is a team that could at some points in the season, it's please, anybody step up and let's win some games. And he felt like he didn't get a chance. Then we also saw a lot of times the Hornets would be up 30, they would be down 30, whatever the case may be. And I know we just looked at a couple blowouts where he was in, but there would be blowouts where the coach wouldn't put it in. James Borrego would not put him in. I don't know why. I'm not really blaming James Borrego. I feel like James Bouknight, however, put himself in a doghouse, so that's fine. I get it as a coach, as James Borrego, but at some point you got to let players work. So like, I get it. James Bouknight did something he's not supposed to do. He basically got in a fight with the coach. He basically acted a fool at UConn. I get it. However, you got to let him redeem himself. I know like he did this with LaMelo a lot. LaMelo would have a couple fouls or a couple bad turnovers. Boom, benched. Why are you benching the top, depending on what part of the season you're looking at, depending on who you are, why are you benching a definite top 2 player on the team? Whether you want to, flip him and Miles or whatever the case may be. But he would do that. He would just bench, and it would be important games. He would just bench LaMelo and then have somebody else come in, like Ish Smith or things like that earlier in the season. So it's just James Borrego had a weird coaching style that he just really didn't let players like work themselves back in. Luckily for LaMelo, he has the talent, of course, and literally is one of the best players, if not the best player on the team last year. I think he was, but some people may have different opinions, which is cool. But LaMelo, talent was undeniable, so you had to play him. As a guy like James Bouknight, who does have some things to work on, play on defense and just things like that, he really wasn't able to get that chance to really redeem himself and come back. Because like I said, there was times this team really needed somebody to just create a shot for themselves, and the bench wasn't the place to go. You had JT Thor, you had Kelly Oubre, you had Jalen McDaniels, who was injured for a lot of the season, Gordon Hayward, who was out a lot, Cody Martin. So James Bouknight really could have been useful a lot during the season, but really was never given the chance once he put himself in a doghouse. I'm not blaming the coach for basically punishing James Bouknight or the franchise or the organization, whatever you want to call it, for punishing James Bouknight. However, I'm saying that y'all never let him come back. And so it really just made him look bad. It really just made him look like there was just a lot to his game to be desired, but he didn't get a lot of minutes. And I've said in videos in the past, and we'll throw Kai Jones in this a little bit, they're not going to develop in the G League. They may get better in the G League, so they may, get a better feel for their shot. They better know like situational awareness, but it's not going to help them be NBA ready unless they get NBA minutes. Now, do they have to earn those minutes? Of course. Like Kai Jones does a lot of crazy things we've seen in summer league and I guess in both summer leagues. And even in G League, like while it works, he still does a lot of crazy. They need NBA minutes, and so this year they really got to play these players, or else you're not going to even be able to trade them if that's what you want to do. So you really got to help these guys. You got to help them not for their sake, but also for your sake, because how are you going to trade some guys you don't play? You know what I'm saying? So people just have, they were supposed to be good 2 years ago. Charlotte has a problem with like developing players, especially players who just don't come in and not on the straight and narrow, like Malik Monk, who I think could have been a really good player. James Bouknight was basically another Malik Monk, and look what they did to him. And then he went on to have his year with Los Angeles, and then he's with the Kings, but I think he's going to have another big year. So just these guys need the help. And so James Bouknight is one of these guys. Like, these guys need to be developed properly and play in NBA minutes. You can't just bench them all the time and try to use your excuse for not making the playoffs. Because now we got blown out in the playoffs, well, in the play-in, which we did last year. So it's like, dang, I wish if that was going to be the result, I wish they played James Bouknight more, So these are things that I feel like aren't talked about enough, especially with James Bouknight, especially with Charlotte Hornets fans. Like I said, a lot of people who just cover the NBA don't know really the ins and outs, which that's fine, because the Charlotte Hornets don't give you anything to be excited about or to pay attention to. But yeah, James Bouknight, I think, is going to be a really good player. He just really needs the minutes. So the organization needs to find out what they're going to do, especially with the Miles situation. But they need to figure out what they're going to do, because they have a lot of young talent that's not being used. And it also seems like they're trying to replace James Bouknight, because Bryce McGowan plays the exact same way, except he's more like NBA body ready. So he's a lot taller, a lot thicker, and I feel like a little better defender. So I don't know, but tell me what you think in the comment section down below. Once again, I'm back to making daily content. So if you're interested in that, make sure you go ahead and subscribe, because we're talking about everything Charlotte Hornets. And definitely when the season comes, I might release 2 or 3 times a day. So definitely go ahead and join the community, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.